Greenville City Council will come to order. Call the roll.
Norris.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Whitaker.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Ewing. Here. Godwin.
Here. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Evening, everyone. Council members, you were emailed out the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, they will stand approved as sent. Okay. You also emailed out the current financial report. If I would entertain a motion to accept, if that is so moved. Moved by Mr. Brown to accept the current financial report. Any discussion on that? Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ewing. Yes. Godwin.
Yes. Approval of the agenda. There's three changes under committee reports. We need to add a committee report for stormwater for the Union Cemetery. Under resolution number 10, it has 2 trucks that needs to be changed to 1 truck. And then also, we're going to add a number 11, and that is a resolution authorizing Safety Service Director to enter into a contract for concrete cutting. That's it.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to approve the agenda as amended. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ewing. Yes. Godwin.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Next section is public hearing. Anyone would like to get up and speak at the podium? There is a sign-in sheet up there if you would just sign that sheet.
I am here because of the cemetery. I live right next door to it. Tracy Tryon had cut my trees that did not need cut. He's more worried about my trees than their trees. You know, they got tombstones laying over the hill, not where they're supposed to be. They got a bolt. I got pictures. Trash, blue bags, dog shit. This is something else, like a chair I found. This is burned, so I won't show you that one. This is tombstones laying on the ground. All this stuff that I am showing you is on my property. It's been there for 50 years, 55 years, whatever you want to call it. I've been there all my life, okay? So we wasn't never allowed to go when we were kids up around the fence because there was so much glass and stuff up there that we could get hurt on, okay? Well, when Tracy cut my trees down, or let's back up. When he butchered my trees, okay, I didn't appreciate it, and I got mad. And the cops were called. One cop took me over and showed me this and that, and bottles, everything. You can look at this, how high up they cut my trees that didn't even touch the cemetery, okay? And then the other thing is, the bag's in my way.
Careful.
So I went on a hunt because I was tired of him and his little boys that he has working for him. I said something to Luke, and I don't even remember what it said. It was unirrelevant. I mean, it was just like a joke or whatever. Well, they all take it serious and they just decide, we'll teach her, we'll cut her trees down. There's a vault back there in the cemetery. They cut green trees, or green bushes down, whatever you want to call them, and left the dead for everybody to go, all the homeless people, so they can have a way to go down over my hill to camp out. Okay? I'm not happy about this. This here is a big eyesore. It sits there at their garage. It's been sitting there for 2 years now. They put hydraulic jugs out there. They blowed all over the ground, you know, was in the yards and stuff. I called up there, told him, nothing got done about it. It laid there. So when they started coming over to my property, I just kicked them back. For many years, when my mom and dad bought this place, we stayed to ourselves. We did not bother nobody. We didn't want to bother anybody, and we didn't want nobody to bother us. Hydraulic jugs in the yard. Here's a tombstone that I found that's down over the hill. Okay, and I seen it, so I wiped the dirt off of it just so I could see it. And that guy died in 1966, if that's the guy. I have no idea. And then here's some more blue bags, where they just throw it over and on my land. They don't care, you know. There's no trash cans out there for them to actually put their dog's poop or whatever you want to call it.
So just, I think this is the Greenville Union Cemetery has a board that's made up from trustees and Greenville City Council members. So I think this would be more suited to, as a board, to go to that board meeting on some of these issues. Would that be a fair assessment? So, I was on the cemetery board for a long time, and I think, Doug, you're on it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if you could bring this up to the board. As far as that marker, I'm sure if we've known there's a marker somewhere, we're going to get it put back in place. Am I outline there?
That's not the only marker.
Well, if whatever markers there, if there are.
There's a baby marker down there beside a vault
So,
that's on my land.
I would just bring this up to the cemetery board and come to a board meeting.
I don't know who that is, and I came up here and they told me to come here.
Yep. So we can get you that information when they meet.
Okay.
So the cemetery board meets
I want to show you one more thing.
once a month, is that correct?
Normally, yes.
Yes.
We don't have a set
I want to
date.
show you one more thing. This here is a tombstone that they threw in the creek,
When you say they, who is they?
the cemetery.
You seen someone from the cemetery throw that in there?
There's a bunch of them.
But you seen someone from the cemetery?
I did
So
not.
you're assuming someone from the cemetery threw it in there,
They
correct?
did. They did throw it in the.
But you didn't see it,
hole.
but you didn't see someone from the cemetery throw it in there, correct? So you're assuming someone from the cemetery threw it in there. So this all needs to be brought up at the cemetery board. I don't like throwing accusations out there when you say they and he and her or whatever. Unless there's a video of it or an employee that we know done it, that works for the cemetery, then that's, you know, it could be youth doing it, or, you know, a crazy person going out there and knocking down headstones or whatever. We don't know who's doing it.
I've had this for about 3 years, 4 years.
Okay.
Maybe 5, because there was a tree on my property fell, so I made my husband cut the tree.
We found a bunch of cemetery markers down along the creek where the old cemetery was, where the fort is. And, you know, we gathered those all up and put them in a cement block wall. I know the Masonic Lodge helped on that and several other organizations.
So are you telling me that everything here is irrelevant?
Now, where
About it?
did I say that all that's irrelevant? I said, now if you listen to me, okay, I said this needs to be brought up to the cemetery board. I didn't say it's irrelevant.
Okay.
So don't put words in my mouth. It's not irrelevant. Bring it up to the cemetery board. Will be more, I know part of the council is a part of the cemetery board. I know they will address it.
Well, Tracy and his boys, sorry, I got false teeth. Tracy and his boys drives around the corner at my house, and I've been waiting for him to fly through. I asked Tracy to slow down. He did.
Okay.
And then his boys that worked over there with him, outside contractors, I guess, they fly up and down that street right behind my house to just make me mad or make my dogs bark. My husband works third shift. I just don't think that any of this is right for any of us, you know? He's so worried about my trees, worried about his own trees. Uncover the tombstones, okay?
So let's come to a cemetery board meeting and this will all be addressed, okay?
Well, I need to know when it's gonna be because I won't be there.
Okay. Tracy, do you know when the next cemetery board is? Okay. Ma'am, only at the podium.
You know me, John.
Just at the podium, please. Yes, Tracy.
Address your first, yes, we will get her, we'll send her a certified letter of when the next meeting is. Once that's set, I've been trying to get one with Brian. Schedules are a little off right now to get all three board members together. And another thing is, they're not my boys. They're employees of the cemetery or they're contracted employees. We did not deliberately go out that day to.
Tracy, I think all this needs to be brought.
I know, but I need to clarify because she's been up here and attribute a lot of things to me. First of all, this is my 4th year at the cemetery. So all this stuff about the tombstones and things, I had no knowledge about because of the overgrowth. I couldn't see it. You know, we will be glad to retrieve anything once we give permission to go on her property. The situation about trash, every morning when I start out, I get in the golf cart and I go up and down Route 571 to pick up all the trash that I can, which fills a trash can every week. Things that are thrown over on our property, last 2 weeks ago, she, in the morning, informed one of my employees that we needed to have all the trash picked up off of her property that somebody had put there over the weekend, and we needed to have it done by Wednesday when she got home, or else we were going to pay for it. Well, none of my employees are able to go down there, so I called the city, sent a crew down to pick it up. It was some vacuums, some bicycles, and other small things. We've had to pick up toilets and other things and mattresses this year. You know, we're not responsible for what people throw on her property from the cemetery, just like the state highway is not responsible for what people throw on our property from the state highway. You know, I can't control that. I can't be there 24 hours a day. I did make a suggestion to her the other day when this confrontation happened on Thursday about that area where they seem to throw about going halves on a fence, and she did not like that idea. As far as the trimming, we did not trim anything onto her property. We just trimmed what was hanging over, and that was in our way. As far as the going fast on there, I personally took my car the other day, and there was no way I could go over 12 miles an hour around that curve. We don't do that. For years, Her husband did work third shift, and we did everything we could to make sure we did not mow in that area or go up and down that area early in the morning to try to appease her. But since last fall, there's been no appeasing her, and I don't know what it is, but she has come in the office and left slamming the door each time. I do have a video of the last time she was in and slammed the door, and she attacked my personal character, which I did not appreciate. She also did on that Thursday. The reason the police were called last Thursday is I kept trying to get her to calm down, and she would not do that. And I kept trying to, because she was getting my guys riled up. One of them, which was a former city worker, who's probably the calmest guy you can know, and he wanted to go after her. And I said I was going to call the police. And she told me in those certain words, go ahead. So I pulled out the phone. She came over and grabbed the phone and my shirt, and I said, back off. She also grabbed one of the utensils, a pair of hedge trimmers, and touched one of the other employees. And, you know, we needed the police there because I didn't want it to escalate. And they responded and got her back, and they had questions about what was going on, you know, with her. But that's there. As far as the jugs that were blowing around, they were not hydraulic jugs. Those were, the city has been out spraying the grounds, and the city employee was leaving them piled in an area by the shop so he could keep track of how many he had for billing. She left a voicemail Saturday afternoon on the cemetery phone. I got it Monday. By then, the city employee was already there, and he finished mowing, picked them all up, and left with them. So that has been addressed. If there's any other questions, you know, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay.
And I do have pictures here. Mayor, if you will pass these around. This shows.
Tracy, when is the next board meeting?
We don't have any
You don't have a
meeting
set?
set at this time.
We're trying to get one in August, which should be the scheduled meeting, but because of schedules, it hasn't been set yet, but I will get that ahead of time, and I will be glad to, like I said, send that in a certified mail so she gets it and we know that she's gotten it.
So are the meetings on a standard schedule, or is it?
They have not been because of rotating schedules between the different board members I've had the last couple of years.
Okay. Can we get that back on a routine schedule, like have a monthly?
I will be glad to discuss that with the board at the next meeting.
Who's the board president? Me. Can you get that back on a standard monthly?
We will attempt to if
Yeah.
everyone.
I know it's hard. I know it's hard,
Yeah.
especially.
I mean, I've always made myself available. We've had meetings at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we've had meetings at 8 o'clock at night, so.
Look, at the end of the day, we all have to be good neighbors, and we have to get along with each other. I think some of the issues that's been brought up, and again, this needs to be brought up at the cemetery board meeting, but some of the issues are some of the homeless problems we've had, et cetera, causing some of this. So let's review this at the next Union Cemetery Board meeting. Again, that's made up of the township trustees and Greenville City Council. Any other questions for Tracy?
Mr.
What is this? This is city council?
So this is Greenville City Council. Okay,
I
so
live in Greenville.
the members of this board sits on several other boards. There's the Downtown Greenville Board. So something that happens in that area would need to go to that board. I miss anything, Law Director? Okay. Anyone else who'd like to speak at the podium? Mr. Mayor, will you kind of help lower that mic down?
Okay, my name is Jimmy Mead, and I live out on Rush Road. And the reason for my presence this evening is I have an issue with the traffic light up by McDonald's. They're on the corner of Wagner and Russ Road. Okay. I go up Russ Road, I stay on the sidewalks. I probably about the only one that does. Stay on the sidewalks. When I come to my apartment complex, I go up the sidewalk and I go up to McDonald's. Okay? And when I do, I watch the crosswalk signs. Okay? And the crosswalk signs give you 23 seconds to get across there. Okay, the traffic, and Jeff, you pretty much know what I'm talking about. The traffic that's coming off of Russ Road coming towards my direction, they don't have the courtesy to stop and watch and wait for pedestrians like me to go across the crosswalk. Okay, I have found it in the last 2 years that I lived there, going on 3 years that I lived there, I had to buy a vest. I got a flag for the back of my scooter. I got bicycle lights on my handlebars here. I also got lights that that's on my scooter, and I use all that when I cross the street. In the last 2 weeks, I've had to put my hand out and kindly stop people. Now, mind you, it's not my place to stop anybody. And I've got cussed at, sweared at, and whatever. Even with a guy on Merciful. And I think I'm up here talking to you about the situation. I talked to the police department. So their question to me was, well, what do you want us to do about it? Well, my cousin that works at McDonald's, she was wondering if they could put another electronic device up where the traffic lights are at that would show what the pedestrian signal is doing. Then maybe that will let the vehicles know, that they're not allowed to go until the cross people go. And like I said, I wasn't too worried about this situation until, I think it was last year. Last summer, I almost got hit going across there, using the crosswalk. And I do use the crosswalk every time I go across that. And I could almost put my hand on this guy's bumper. That's how close it was for me to get hit when I had the right of way. And another thing, and I do appreciate this. Somebody, I don't know who it was, but somebody took gum and they put it on the crosswalk button to where when you try to push the button, it stuck. So I contacted the street department, and when I did, they went out and I seen them do it. And I hollered out, I said, hey, I appreciate you doing that for me. And I'm the one that contacted the street. They cleaned the gum off the button. But my thing is can you guys look into this and see how you can moderate, help the traffic?
So
People like me,
So currently, right now, and this was brought up, I think you had the mayor's ear a couple weeks ago.
yeah,
And we have 3 intersections we're kind of looking at right now, and that is one of them. Ryan, you want to kind of talk through what the game plan or plan is?
So right now it's in the hands of our traffic engineer, which is Choice One, and they're looking at some different scenarios that we could utilize. It's a tough intersection because it's the busiest intersection in town. So we're trying to come with a fine line between traffic flow and pedestrian flow and what's safe for everybody, but they are looking at that particular intersection as one of them.
Okay.
there was another fellow, that works at McDonald's, and he's a client of the Dark County Board, and so am I. He works at McDonald's. I took it up on myself and bought him a safety vest because he walks that same place. I don't know where he lives at, sir, but he lives down somewhere along West Road there.
So you're basically saying you don't have enough time to get across from,
I feel I have enough time, yes, but the traffic is what I'm concerned of because they're too much in a hurry right there. I mean, I may have stopped one of you guys going across there.
I go through that intersection a lot, and a lot of people just aren't yielding to the pedestrians trying to cross, particularly him. He needs a little extra time, and they're being rude. I've seen that.
So is it the east
Give
side,
him a hard time.
east side crosswalk on West Road then?
it would be
It's
From
the same
McDonald's
side
to
of
Rural King.
McDonald's.
West going east.
West going east,
Crossing Wagner.
crossing Wagner, okay.
I'm coming from Wayne Crossings.
Okay,
You can pull up, turn right, and just stay on.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying, and I understand the traffic laws that you can turn right on red. I used to drive, so I know the laws. I'm not saying, and there was a guy on a motorcycle that was going to go through there, and I was at the crosswalk. I put my hand out, and he cussed me out. I mean, I'm not gonna repeat the words that he said, but he cussed me out. He said, well, I wasn't gonna hit you, sir, with a few choice words in there,
Well, let us get this traffic study back from, what was the company called? That's Choice One, who does all of our engineering. Let's see what some suggestions they have for us and see if we can get that improved.
Well, can somebody get back with me and let me know the progress of this? Because I, like 3 days a week, I met some people from a church that I found that I dearly love to meet with, and Jeff, you know who they are. And so I go there three times a week almost. I mean, it's not bad going back across, but it's bad coming across. Okay.
Mayor, you know how to you have contact info? You're gonna go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
You're gonna go to McDonald's and buy this guy a cup of coffee, aren't you?
Yeah, Monday. I'll be there Monday.
See you there, Jimmy.
Anyone else? Public hearing?
Mine's short and sweet. First of all, thank you. Appreciate that so much. And a number of other people might be willing to come up here now because they said they want to come up and speak. So thank you.
Turn the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Well, usually I speak loud enough.
Now we gotta know who you are.
Okay. I am being approached by several people because they do know that I come up here, and I enjoy coming up here. I learn up here, and I'm trying to get more people to come up here. So here's some of the concerns that I've been met with in the last 2 weeks. One of them is the Colonial Trailer Park. I don't know who's over that. Is that city? Is that county? I don't know, but one lady talked to me for a good 30, 40 minutes. And I drove out there today, and it is a disaster.
So I have 2 employees that work there, or live there, and Ryan Delk and the mayor and the law director will attest. It's a pet peeve of mine, and we've had the Department of Commerce there, and we have a lot of things in the works getting it. Okay.
She told me, this is what she shared with me. There is some of those trailers that doesn't have electricity.
Yep.
And she's in fear of this winter that there will be fires because to keep warm.
We've already had a fire there a month,
Right,
2 months
I
ago.
remember that. And she sees drugs going in and out where she lives at. I went by her house and I could see where she was seeing what she could be seeing. I looked at windows boarded up with wood, but people were living there, so you know what's going on out there. And I knew the city was going after property owners, so that's what I couldn't explain to the lady when she said this, well, they're doing it in the city going after property owners. Why don't they do something over that? So I'm just
So,
bringing her
yeah,
to you.
and maybe the law director can help me, but because that's a trailer court, it's governed by the Department of Commerce, is that right? And so we're working through them to get it,
Get the guy who owns it
yes,
to clean it up, because it is pretty bad.
it is.
Okay, so
I
the other thing that.
100% agree with you.
Thank you so much. The other thing that I got approached with after the concert a few weeks ago, somebody was saying that out there on Greenway Way, they've been doing drag racing. And so, and I've been noticing, and I wish the cops would just hide somewhere, because there has been people going up and down that street, I bet 60 miles an hour. My brother was at my house the other day, and some guy tore down from the school all the way down to the stoplight at North Broadway, whipped his car back around and tore back. And we yelled at him and said, slow it down. We have a lot of small children, a lot of people walking pets. And so I'm so afraid there's going to be some kind of accident out there. And it's these young kids. I hate to say that, but it's the young kids up and down driving their sports cars or whatever as fast as they can drive it. They do. Sometimes they'll stop at that stop sign at Avenue C, but it's getting out of control. And even other neighbors are saying things.
It's up and down Harmon or
East Harmon.
East Harmon?
Yeah, I mean, that guy just whipped it back around, did a U-turn and tore back down. But the people that live down there by Greenway Way said they watch drag racing going on. They actually start down by the school and then tear down towards Harmon.
The chief is here and he's shaking his head, he'll address it, right?
Okay, that's all I have for tonight, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Richard, I see you starting to stand a while ago.
I'm a little reluctant, but I can keep it very short. I'm motivated to come because of the day it is and the day it is in 2 days. That event happening here, the history. I just want to point out from primary documents, just make a point. I don't know how many of you are aware of that, have seen that. That was Arts family in Hagerstown, Maryland, found it in their possession in the early 1940s. And they got it to historians and they were able to tell from names. This is depiction of Greenville, Anthony Wayne's Greenville. You've seen it, right? You know, I mean, it's not new to you. It's pretty precise. It shows Mud Creek, Greenville Creek, the junction. Historians were able to say pretty quickly this, they figure, was late 93 with the bastions dotted as if they were still under construction. So Wayne, you know, was the third to have Keokiyanga, the Miami towns, what's Fort Wayne, as the target to come out and eliminate. The first one, I forget, but they were driven back, and then that was in 1790. And then St. Clair in 91 met the fate they did. Terrible defeat there in November. Keokiyanga was the Miami capital up near where Fort Wayne, where he built Fort Wayne. So, how many of you are aware of how that jives with present-day Greenville? Hey, I do have copies that show this close up, and I made 12, and I see there's 13. If you haven't seen how Wayne's Greenville, when John Dever platted the town of Greenville in 1808, he was a surveyor from Pennsylvania. He bought the first half section of what was going to become Dark County so that he could put his town of Greenville onto what Wayne had done. So October coming up will be 230 years. They called Anthony Wayne out of retirement in 92. The first winter, they overwintered in downstream from Pittsburgh, you may remember, in a little town built Legionville. And then they made their way out here, arriving in October. And I want to share with you the website, wardepartmentpapers.org, maintained by James Madison University. You can find the original correspondence, like Wayne to Knox, dated November 15th, 1793. You can see Wayne's letters of his exploits during the Revolutionary War when he captured Stony Point, north of New York on the Hudson, sneaking in at night through the swamps in 1799, that boosted morale and everything. Hey, I'm pointing this out on the 15th of November. He's telling Knox, is the Secretary of War, how, due to problems with contractors and supplies, they're going to winter here. He makes it known, in the interim, I shall render this camp unassailable against the combined force of the savages, which he called the Indians, and call it Greenville. This is the first time. Greenville. He tells Knox. Where he is 8 miles advanced of Fort Jefferson on the southwest branch of the Miami. So he comes out on November 21st, I'm sorry. Headquarters, southwest branch of the Miami. This encampment shall in future be known and distinguished by the name of Greenville. Greenville. Legionville, now Greenville. So the next time he writes Knox, which is December 4th, headquarters, Greenville. And all his correspondence from them is going to be exactly that. And I want to point out, so this event tomorrow is 228 years. They're arriving with 230. So the treaty, we call it Treaty of Greenville, was the Treaty of Wyandotte, Delaware, is the other primary document I want to point out that mentions the name of this place. So it tells us right at the beginning how they, Army of the United States, commanding Anthony Wayne, and the sachems, chiefs, and warriors met together at Greenville, the headquarters of said army. Article 2 is about the exchange of prisoners. All prisoners on both sides shall be restored. Indian prisoners are set free immediately, but the Indians have 90 days from the day thereafter to the general and commanding officer at 3 different places to bring any prisoners or hostages. They can bring them to Greenville, Fort Wayne, or Fort Defiance. And at the end of the treaty, it again says, before everybody signs, done at Greenville in the territory of the United States northeast of the River Ohio. You know, for a long time, we did not have access to the primary documents. And because everything, just about everything else out here was Fort Jefferson, Fort Defiance, Fort Recovery, Fort Wayne. Some people who don't take the time to do due diligence and go to the primary documents mistakenly, and this is my point of comment tonight, call this place something that Wayne never called it. Was never called Fort Greenville. It had to house, you know, it was a little city. He called it a cantonment, a temporary military city. Now, they put a picket because they wanted to feel more comfortable, but that didn't make it a fort. I say we disrespect Anthony Wayne when we don't call it what he called it. My opinion. And it was done a lot in the 19th century, even by historians. And even today, you will find Wikipedia and somebody posted that the Boy Scout stockade is a replica of Fort Greenville on Google Maps or something. No, it was never Fort Greenville, is my point of talking about this.
Just to say something, if we could.
Pardon?
Just to say something so everybody knows, Wednesday on the 3rd is Treaty Day for the city of Greenville.
That's why I was pointing to this.
He wasn't pointing at me.
Well, that's what
I knew what you were pointing at.
Everyone knows what we're talking about.
This is what drove me to come here tonight. Now, this issue of what Wayne named the place, and I think nobody should call it something that their imagination that isn't grounded on evidence and primary documents. Misinformation and disinformation is nothing new. And even if you've inherited a title for something, you should have the responsibility, you know, you should have enough to, I say, anybody who owns property around here should thank Anthony Wayne. He's the one, the third time was a charm. He conquered them enough that they gave up the land that now we could buy it and today own it. I say, for us who live out here, most respect is paid to him if we call the place what he did. Point understood?
Richard, we appreciate you coming up and giving us
Thank you.
wealth of knowledge.
Hey, I grew up like everybody in this history out here, and I didn't think much about it. But after having all the kids my wife and I had, 8, I went first to yeah, I did. Edison State. Then I went to Lake Campus. And then I went to main campus. But that's where I learned to do research down at the main campus at Rice State. Took me about 5 years to get 2 years of credit. But after that, then I became a student of local history. And I knew you got to delve into the primary documents. You don't want to make up stories on your own. Caleb Swan was the paymaster. In the Indiana Historical Society has all the records of the pay. Headquarters Greenville. Headquarters Greenville. Never Fort Greenville. Hey, thank you all for all you got to put up with to become serving us like.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
I'll be brief, trust me. Chief Roberts, the police department. My staff and I would like to make a committee possibly to look at replacing our CALIA accreditation process with Lexipol. We can talk about that later if we do make a committee. We've had CALIA for a long time. It is getting outdated. Most of the departments are going to Lexipol, and the benefits are pretty significant for us.
What is the new one you're wanting to change to?
From Lexipol,
Say that again.
Lexipol, Lexipol. So,
Okay.
but the CALIA standards, we are currently up to date with CALIA. It was it's very good for the people in my position for many years, long time ago, but right now it's just outdated and not beneficial for us anymore.
Okay, I will grant that committee assignment ad hoc. So let's do an ad hoc, and Leon Rogers, Law, you head it up, and then we will use the safety committee Chairman Jeff Whitaker, and Committee on Personnel, Public Relations, Brian Brown. So those three be on the committee, ad hoc committee. Okay.
We will have the necessary information ready.
How long do you think that'd take to get the assignment back?
We can get it real quick. We've already met with them and have some stats together, and actually Ken Davis had found some benefit for us too.
Okay, let's do, I'll have it do the second meeting in September with Fair Week coming up and all the craziness. So we'll have that the 19th of September due.
Awesome.
How long is your accreditation good for now?
We're due again, I believe, at the end of December. They're doing a lot of, you remember those days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I want to avoid the expensive side that's coming up.
Okay. So we'd be able to certify with them prior to the Kalias.
We talked to Lexipol would be a rather quick transition.
Okay.
And most of the area, your departments like us have transitioned to that. It's just Kalia was good after the '94 riots, but now outdated.
And Chief, is that for 5 years on the Kalia that you have to do the review? 3? Thank you.
And now they're doing a lot of online assessments, and one of the things they're expecting me that I know perhaps my predecessors really enjoyed, but they like to have a Chiefs conference in Miami Beach, Florida, and so forth. It was brought up that I haven't attended, but I'm using our training dollar for more beneficial things. The Miami Beach does sound fun in February, but let's do what's best.
Especially in February.
Yes,
Yeah, if you can get that information to us, well, that'll be helpful.
I have people on it.
Thank you.
What's that? You guys will go there, see if you like it better, okay?
Thank you, Chief.
You're on the sidewalks, Jimmy.
Let me know when you want to.
Anyone else? All right, we will move on to administration reports. Mr. Mayor.
Well, since there's so much time, I do want to thank Richard for coming up. It is nice to remember that it's always on the 3rd, I believe, of August, and there's Treaty Day, so that's pretty neat. So next week is large item pickup from Rumpke. So want to make sure everybody heard that in the public and put it out there a little bit. So, and that's all I got. I'll pass.
Okay. So if the papers and the newspaper can make sure you post that large item Rumpke pickup so we can get this city cleaned up next week. Right, Mr. Mayor?
There you go.
Okay. Safety Service Director, Mr. Delk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mine for tonight, I don't know if it'll be that quick, but we'll give it a shot. I apologize. So if you remember a couple meetings ago, there was some legislation passed for Omni Fiber, who was coming into town to do fiber to home. And the legislation read, knocking permit fees down to $25 per permit, and then up to 700 holes in the right of way for those permits, and then a $250,000 maintenance bond on top of that. So we met with them today, and somewhere along the lines, their numbers were way off. So now for the entire city, they're looking at more like 5,000 holes. Now this is just for structures. So how I'll try to explain this best I can, but so basically anywhere they put a structure would be a permit hole. Now that doesn't necessarily mean it's in the street. It's in the right of way. It could be in the grass lawn. It could be behind the sidewalk. So they try to run what we call like their main line down the tree lawn, but there could be trees in the way. There could be other utilities in the way. It just kind of depends how it all lays out. So after talking to him today, he's like, so when they're a lot of it, especially in the north end, they're directional boring. Well, by law, anytime they directional bore, like, so when they run down a street in the tree lawn, every time a sanitary sewer lateral comes into a house or a phone line or electric line or a water line, they have to what they call spot hole that line, which is they usually use a back truck or hydro excavator and back down to that line. And then they have to watch that bore head go past that line and make sure that they don't hit it. That's by law. So he's like, when you're getting into those kind of numbers and we're doing the entire city, he's like, I don't know for a fact, but we could be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 holes. So he's like, if you're going to charge me $25 for 20,000 holes, he's like, the project's probably dead. He said most cities they go to, they pay for only the holes that they house structures in, and then they do a $1 million bond on top of that to cover any expenses. So we have a maintenance bond that's good for a year. So if something doesn't get repaired correctly, then they come back and we can go back on that bond and repair whatever they tore up that wasn't to our satisfaction within a year's time. So just for an example, so far he's sent us like 6 areas, and they're not really huge areas, just small little sections of neighborhoods. By the time the project is complete, we're probably looking at more like the 30 different areas. So like this, out of these 6, like these are the plans for one small section when it comes to this portion. So my question to council is, we don't have any legislation, we wanted to kind of talk about it with all of you. And Mike and I talked about it briefly prior to the meeting, and we felt that we could probably write some legislation that would benefit them, benefit the citizens by getting home to fiber, and then benefit us as far as being able to cover ourselves on repairs and the amount of holes and the damage that is done. Like I said, some of these, most, I guess my hope is most are going to be in the grass, but there are going to be holes in the street because when they cross the street, there's utility lines in the way and there's going to be potholes. And my conversation with him today was like, you have no idea the amount of money we put into paving over the last several years, and the last thing we want is 30 holes in an area. And he's like, I'll assure you it won't be that way. But as I said, Mr. Raymond and I talked about it. We think he thinks he's the real educated guy in this. There's ways he can write the legislation to cover all parties. So really at this point, it's a matter of, we can go back to him and say, no, we're not interested. If you want to do the hole, you're going to pay $25 per hole and we'll see what happens. Or we can look into legislation for the next meeting. With that said, they want to start Monday. So they're covered right now for 700 holes. So they're covered to start Monday, but long-term, he's like, if you're long-term not willing to work with us, the project's probably not going to happen.
How many holes they want to do?
A bunch.
30,000.
20 to 30,000.
700 to 30?
So yes.
So educate me, so all of this has to be ran underground, it can't be overhead?
So a lot of they're trying to get aerial. North end, there's just not a lot of poles for aerial.
Where they're at now, isn't it?
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and then they're working with AES, so they have to get lease agreements for every pole attachment. So he said they're working with that more in the south end, but they're not having the best of luck. They just take a lot of time to get all these lease agreements in place, but they want to start more in the north end where everything's already underground.
We asked the question.
Absolutely, ask away.
What's the effect on the property owners? I mean, you say they have a lease agreement with AES, but how does this all affect, like me who have property? What does it?
So this will give you another option for internet that'll be
I mean, I
fiber.
understand that. I mean, but like permissions, do they have to have property owners' permissions? I'm just.
Once they,
Okay. Okay.
There you go.
That's what I wanted to know. Just
Yep.
curious. Thank you.
But if they dig a hole in my yard, they're gonna put it back and seed it?
see, absolutely.
Right, okay.
What if they tear up my sidewalk?
They're gonna replace it.
I got a couple spots they could put a couple holes.
But I'm out there with pain at night.
This one. I mean, I think it's something definitely to consider. I mean, I can tell you, I've talked to numerous people that complain nonstop about Spectrum being the only option for good internet. It's outrageously priced. They have no competition. And, so I think that certainly should be of consideration.
Well, and the speed of it, I mean, you're talking 100 times the speed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Significantly faster. for less.
I think we need to go ahead with it myself.
I agree.
So do we need a vote or we just need a
I think we're just trying to get an idea, and then, because Ryan and I still have to come up with kind of massaging what we think is a viable solution. As he mentioned, to kind of protect both parties, so our thought was to kind of craft something that maybe there's a weighting of everything that's in the grass that doesn't have a big of an impact, but still including a fee for any time there's a street, which would also hopefully discourage the amount of times that they dug in the street if we could. And so those are the things that we want to brainstorm and get out. We just want to make sure you guys are good with it as a concept.
So is there anyone on council that's not on board?
So of the 30,000 holes roughly, like what do they think the percentage of like stuff they have to put in? Like you said, that they would only pay for stuff they put into the ground. Like what's percentage wise?
So like 5,000
Is what
ish.
okay.
So that's where
30,000 holes, but 5,000.
They call them like flower pots or control boxes. And like a flower pot, he said, can service anyway, depending where it goes, anywhere from 2 to 4 houses.
Oh,
So like that structure, they call them structures, they would still pay the $25 permit fee on.
Okay.
It's just the locating portion,
Sure.
you know, like you go out and they'll call and locates and water and sanitary and storm and phone, and everybody will go out and locate their lines. But when you're directional boring, you're doing it blind. So by law, they have to, you know, if that line's off 6 inches, you're in trouble. So they by law have to expose that area where they cross that line.
Okay.
So basically you're saying it looks like a water shut off or a gas shut off. It's just a round steel thing that you could lift the lid off to look down inside.
Yes.
Okay.
There will be some above ground boxes that are similar to like an electrical box that you see in the north end, like
Yes.
those green, yeah.
Telephone.
Some of those like in like where the main lines connect together, like actually out in front of a house, it'll just be a small, like almost like a sprinkler controller box.
So is there anyone opposed here?
No, and
I got
it's
a
just,
question.
yeah.
Yep, go ahead, Clarence.
Is there any way that the streets that we're gonna be paving here in a few months, can they do that area before they pave it?
Right. That was a question I was asking. They felt that they could, but we're running out of time in a hurry.
Well, I mean, seems like it's a race to see who can put the hole in the street first.
Right. And it just depends, a lot of it depends on what, you know, the areas that they are, if it's gonna be aerial or in the ground.
Communicate between the two or something.
Right.
I think that's three.
And then the other thing is price, like the $25 per hole. Obviously, they want to renegotiate that.
No, they just don't want to pay $25 for a hole that they are going to hydro excavate to make sure they don't hit another utility. They're willing to pay the $25 for up to the 5,000 holes that they're going to have structures on.
Structures in, okay.
But the holes that they're just doing what they call as part of the locate,
Sampling.
Right.
basically.
Yeah. That's what they don't want them to have to, you know, at $25 a pop for 5,000, that's what, 125,000. So
Yeah, well, we
You're
did
talking
talking up there to
$500,000.
750,000 for.
Yeah.
Plus they have to fix everything that they.
Yes, yeah, that's, all that is
That's
come out
expense
and
too.
inspect it. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of time and effort that's every city department is gonna have to put into this as far as, you know, you're locating the entire city, and locates take
Because
a
it's an
tremendous
infrastructure.
amount of time to find the lines and mark them. And then if you don't get a tone on one, you have to go a little further. So it is, you know, the fee covers some expenses, but it's just a matter of, you know, risk or the reward at the end, the reward to have another company in Greenville that you can get internet from and you can get fiber from. And, you know, to Brian's point, I hear it often too, like, you know, what else can I do here? And you're kind of stuck.
Ready to sign up is what you're gonna have.
Right.
I'm ready.
And that's the way they're looking at it. They're looking at, they build it and they will kind of like, they don't have people signed up. Okay, you're good. All right, thank you. I'll
And
pass.
how long do they think this project's gonna take?
6 to 9 months.
Okay.
which is
That's fast.
fast.
Pretty fast.
It's very fast.
I think they don't hang on.
That's the internet.
So that's gonna, I mean, for that 6 to 9 months, I would think that's gonna be a lot of people working in Greenville. It's gonna,
Boost the economy.
Yeah.
Yep.
yep, and hotel stays and
Yeah.
restaurants.
And as they build it, people will be able to connect. Like when they get an area done, then people can start hooking up to it. It doesn't have to wait till the end. Yeah, mayor's first.
Can we have a bidding war on who gets it first?
Ryan, is there information available, like, for each of us to know how much it's gonna be? I know you gave us some rates
It's
earlier.
online.
Yeah, so I've sent it up before, but I can dig it out. I have it somewhere. I don't know if you recall, they did a presentation here.
Yeah, I do. I
a
get
few
those
months
numbers
ago.
down.
For 500 megs, it was like $50 or $55 a month. And Spectrum's 300 is 80 something, I think. So
All right, let's move on to the law director.
I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond.
thank you.
About city auditor.
I will pass as well.
Wow. All right. Move on to committee reports. We have a report from the stormwater, from the utility committee for the stormwater for Greenville Union Cemetery.
Honorable members of council, the Utilities Committee hereby submits our report. November 2021, the city of Greenville went through a server upgrade and established discounts on stormwater discounts. The new upgrade with the server removed the previously approved discounts. Greenville Cemetery should have been getting a 15% discount on their stormwater rates. Respectfully submitted, Committee on Utilities, Clarence Godwin, Chairman, Chris Norris, Vice Chairman, and Brian Brown, Member.
Move to accept the committee report.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to accept the committee report. Discussion? Call the roll?
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need legislation prepared for that for next meeting, or is that just? Okay. All right, moving on to ordinance and resolutions. First, we have a resolution waiving payment.
A resolution waiving payment by or any alternate authorizing reimbursements representing stormwater usage charges incurred as the result of a computer glitch and declaring an emergency. This resolution reimburses Spirit Medical at 5484 State Route 49 South in the amount of $885 for stormwater charges incurred as a result of a computer glitch. This resolution has an emergency clause.
And was that the third reading or?
Yes.
Third reading, okay. So we would just need the emergency clause adopted. Because it's already just second and third, or the,
Motion to adopt.
Pardon?
You need a motion to adopt it, or?
yes.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Godwin to adopt emergency clause. Discussion? Call the roll?
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Abstain.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Abstain.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we just need a motion.
Move to adopt.
We did.
Move to adopt by Mr. Whitaker. Discussion? Call the roll?
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Abstain.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Abstain.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay. The resolution passes. Next, we have a ordinance to suspend enforcement of codified ordinance.
An ordinance to suspend enforcement of codified ordinances, Chapter 828, pertaining to the conduct of home sales from August 3rd, 2023 at 12:01 a.m. through August 6th, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. in connection with the conduct of the world's longest yard sale event and declaring an emergency. This ordinance suspends enforcement of codified ordinance, Chapter 828, pertaining to the conduct of home sales from Thursday to Sunday in relation to the world's longest yard sale held annually in August. This ordinance has an emergency clause.
Would suspend the rules to give this ordinance a second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to suspend the rules, give this ordinance second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll?
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
An ordinance to suspend enforcement of codified ordinances, Chapter 828, pertaining to the conduct of home sales from August 3rd, 2023 at 12:01 a.m. through August 6th, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. in connection with the conduct of the world's longest yard sale event and declaring an emergency. An ordinance to suspend or enforcement of codified ordinances, Chapter 828, pertaining to the conduct of home sales from August 3rd, 2023 at 12:01 a.m. through August 6th, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. in connection with the conduct of the world's longest yard sale event and declaring an emergency.
Move to adopt the emergency clause.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt emergency clause. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brown to adopt. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yeah.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to number 3, we have a supplemental ordinance.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023. The supplemental ordinance allows for appropriations in the general fund and capital improvement plan fund in the sum as follows. Refunds, income tax in the amount of $70,000. These funds are needed to cover additional refunds through December 31st, 2023. Roadway enhancement CIP in the amount of $114,455.96. These funds are needed for the North Ohio Street Reconstruction Project and were provided by the Ohio Public Works Commission.
Move to suspend the rules, give this ordinance second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this ordinance second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023. An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to adopt. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, we have a resolution authorizing deposit of no longer, or disposition of no longer needed motor vehicle.
A resolution authorizing the disposition of no longer needed motor vehicle. This resolution authorizes the disposition of the no longer needed 2000 GMC Sierra used by the wastewater department on govdeals.com.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the disposition of no longer needed motor vehicle. A resolution authorizing the disposition of no longer needed motor vehicle.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brown to adopt the resolution. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Moving on to number 5, we have a resolution authorizing submission of proposals for ODOT.
A resolution authorizing submission of proposals with the Ohio Department of Transportation for grants through the U.S. Federal Transit Administration, FTA, and the state of Ohio, and execution of a contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation upon grant proposal acceptance for calendar SFY 2025. This resolution authorizes the mayor or safety service director to submit proposals to aid in financing of capital operating and planning assistance projects and to enter into contract with ODOT upon grant proposal acceptance for year 2025.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution a second, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing submission of proposals with the Ohio Department of Transportation for grants through the U.S. Federal Transit Administration, FTA, in the state of Ohio, and execution of a contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation upon grant proposal acceptance for calendar SFY 2025. Resolution authorizing submission of proposals with the Ohio Department of Transportation for grants through the U.S. Federal Transit Administration, FTA, in the state of Ohio, and execution of a contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation upon grant proposal acceptance for calendar SFY 2025.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brown to adopt. Discussion? Other than we're working on stuff in 2025, isn't that crazy? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to number 6, we have an ordinance for accepting public improvements.
An ordinance accepting public improvements installed by Bonanza Custom Homes as previously agreed upon under a development agreement. This ordinance accepts the public improvements of Washington Square Phase 2 installed by Bonanza Custom Homes.
Move to suspend the rules, give this ordinance second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules and give this ordinance second and third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
An ordinance accepting public improvements installed by Bonanza Custom Homes as previously agreed under a development agreement. An ordinance accepting public improvements installed by Bonanza Custom Homes as previously agreed under a development agreement.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to adopt this ordinance. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Moving on to number 7, we have a resolution authorizing Safety Service Director to submit an application to the OPWC.
A resolution authorizing Safety Service Director to prepare and submit applications to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission, state capital improvement, and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to submit an application to the OPWC to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement Program and/or the Local Transportation Improvement Program to use for future capital improvements to the street maintenance program.
Move to suspend the rules and give this resolution a second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to prepare and submit applications to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission, state capital improvement, and/or local transportation improvement programs and to execute contracts as required. Resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission, state capital improvement, and/or local transportation improvement programs and to execute contracts as required.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brown to adopt. Discussion?
What's this in reference to?
So Ohio Public Works is just a state program that we can get funding for different projects. So North Ohio Street was partially funded by Ohio Public Works, and we get to apply every 3 years as a municipality. So our year is up to be able to apply. So this one, the short answer is we're applying for paving in 2024, and then in 3 years from now, we'll apply again, and the plan is to apply for our Schweitzer Street project, a portion of that funding in 2028, 2027, for 2028, something like that.
One of them years.
It's down there.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, we have a resolution authorizing Safety Service Director apply and enter into Water Pollution Control Loan Fund.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to apply for, accept, and enter into a Water Pollution Control Loan Fund or Water Supply Revolving Loan Account agreement on behalf of the City of Greenville for planning, design, and/or construction of wastewater or water facilities and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to apply for, accept, and enter into a Water Pollution Control Loan Fund or Water Supply Revolving Loan Account agreement for future upgrades to existing wastewater and water facilities in the city.
Please suspend the rules and give this resolution its second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to apply for, accept, and enter into a Water Pollution Control Loan Fund or Water Supply Revolving Loan Account agreement on behalf of the City of Greenville for planning, design, and/or construction of wastewater or water facilities and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to apply for, accept, and enter into a Water Pollution Control Loan Fund or Water Supply Revolving Loan Account agreement on behalf of the City of Greenville for planning, design, and/or construction of wastewater or water facilities and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules.
We need to adopt it.
Or, yeah, that's already been done.
Oh, okay.
So what you're trying to say is
Move to adopt.
I got a question.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schmidt, for correcting me.
I was sleeping.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt.
Can I ask a question?
Discussion.
What is that?
So this one is for the water tower, so it's the water facilities, the water supply revolving loan account. So this is for the design of the water tower.
And we can get building it then,
What's that?
and we can build it next year?
Yep.
How much does it cost to design it?
So about 8 to 900,000. Usually about 10%, so it's an $8 to $9 million project.
Not wrong business.
That's why we should have built it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
About a third.
Brian said he'd chip in.
Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yeah.
Healy.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
All right, number 9, resolution authorizing safety service director to enter into agreement to purchase trucks for street department.
A resolution authorizing the safety service director to enter into an agreement to purchase 2 trucks to be used by the street department. This resolution authorizes the safety service director to enter into agreement to purchase 2 2024 GMC Sierra trucks to be used by the street department.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this resolution and read it by title only, second and third time.
Moved by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading with title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Healy.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the safety service director to enter into agreement to purchase 2 trucks to be used by the street department. A resolution authorizing the safety service director to enter into agreement to purchase 2 trucks to be used by the street department.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to adopt the resolution. Discussion. No discussion on buying 2 trucks?
I seen the price of, yeah, 51,540, so
I seen a couple trucks in the street department that are
they're pretty.
way past their life, so this is way overdue. Yeah.
Can't buy a couple used Rangers?
We'll put those on.
Are those, are they gas or diesel?
All right, call the roll.
Wait a minute.
Are they gas or diesel?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Healy.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
There you go, Matt. Number 10, resolution authorizing safety service director to enter into agreement to purchase 1 truck for the wastewater department.
A resolution authorizing the safety service director to enter into agreement to purchase a truck to be used by the wastewater department. This resolution authorizes the safety service director to enter into an agreement to purchase a 2024 GMC Terrain to be used by the wastewater department.
Move to suspend the rules and give this resolution second, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Healy.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the safety service director to enter into an agreement to purchase a truck to be used by the wastewater department. A resolution authorizing the safety service director to enter into an agreement to purchase a truck to be used by the wastewater department.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to adopt. Discussion?
Shouldn't we have bought one before we got rid of the other one?
The other one doesn't run. That's the
Oh,
problem.
okay.
We're gonna have to tow it.
Oh, that's no bueno.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Healy.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
And our last one, we have number 11, a resolution authorizing safety service director to enter into a contract for concrete cutting.
A resolution authorizing the safety service director to enter into a contract with Precision Concrete Cutting for services related to concrete cutting. This resolution authorizes the safety service director to enter into contract with Precision Concrete Cutting for the rendering of services related to concrete cutting.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion. Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into contract with Precision Concrete Cutting for services related to concrete cutting. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into contract with Precision Concrete Cutting for services related to concrete cutting.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker to adopt. Discussion.
What are we doing here?
So this is a part of phase 1 of the sidewalk program. This is where they come in and cut anything less than a 1/4 inch.
What were those marked by?
Pink paint.
So they're grinding or cutting whatever's necessary.
Yep. Yeah. On the ones that are like, have 2 good sections, but they're just like a 1/4 inch off.
And that goes assessed back to the property owner.
That we're paying for as part of the program.
By my tree and the
Locked on.
pink line.
Any other discussion?
You said that was the pink marks, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna do that at 7:30 in the morning, right?
Moving on to old business, we have a tabled zoning amendment. Does anyone want to do anything with that? All right, move on to, there is no new business, right? Yep. Okay, so under old business, moving on to council representation outside committee, we have the architect review board, which is Jeff, right?
Yeah. We
Any
didn't have
updates?
a meeting last month. We didn't have any submissions. So our next meeting is coming up is next Tuesday, the 8th.
Okay. Any questions for Jeff on that from anyone? All right, move on to communications.
You received the monthly reports of June from the Fire Department and Transit Department, and the monthly report of July from the Income Tax Department, and the second quarter report from the Fire Department.
Okay, call council.
Norris.
I'd just like to thank everybody from the public that spoke tonight. It was quite interesting and informative. And the department heads for being here. Thank you. And with that, I'll pass.
Rogers.
Pass.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yeah, just regarding pedestrian crosswalks, that gentleman, Jimmy, I forget his last name, but he's been speaking to me about that a lot, and I know he's spoken with Mayor Wellman. But I'd like to ask people that are driving through that intersection in particular, that is a very busy intersection. There's a lot of people that, unfortunately, it takes them a little bit longer to get across, and just to bear witness that, this could be happening to them at some point in their life. So let's all be nice and be cooperative with each other and give enough time to let that person cross the street. Pedestrians do have the right of way, the last time I heard. So let's be mindful of that and be careful. With that, I pass.
Brown.
Pass.
Ely.
Pass.
Godwin.
Reminder that where they did talk about large pickup item, people do need to take advantage of that and, get rid of some stuff that's been laying around. And I asked Ryan, it's been about a month ago, and he checked on it. When we passed legislation for the Rumpke renewal, we added recyclable toters, the rolling toadies, and there was 14 in the city of Greenville. That's all we have. Versus the red bins. The red bins is where people put stuff in there, and like out on my road that it's full right now, and I'm sure I'm going to go home and pick up cans or bottles that blew out of that. And the reason we went to the roller toady things, and I'm going to check on getting one, and because that's a lot of the trash that comes around that blows out of that. What we picked up on Ohio Street when I helped them at Greenville Safer Streets, it was plastic bottles and milk jugs and stuff that's blew out of recyclable toters. And, I'd like to see more people take advantage of that toter. And with that, I'll pass.
President Baumgartner.
Yeah, just a couple things. Thank everyone for coming up tonight. Very spirited meeting. And then just wanted to make a comment of, I think we talked about this in the administrative meeting the other day, but it's such a nice thing to see all these new sidewalks being put in areas that has been really bad, like down Pine Street and some of the other places. It's nice to see everyone doing that work. And we're going to start on that this fall for the ones that are allowing the city to do so. I think that's a big improvement. I look forward to continuing this program on and getting this done. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to adjourn. Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.